Hello, how you guys doing? Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about joins. I've been meaning to make this video for a very long time now and finally got to it. But in today's video, we're only going to be talking about the most common used join in SQL. We are not going to be talking about all the different type of joins there are in SQLs, right? So if you look, we have a list of all the joins we're really going to be talking about. So let's get right into it. So we have the inner join, right? This is really one of the most common joins. You're going to be using this join a lot. It appears as inner join, but you can also type join, right? You can remove the inner and just put join, which basically mean the same thing. You're going to see this where you work out as two different things, right? Some people might use inner join and some people might just use join. And it really also depends on the database you're using, right? So what is the inner join? So the inner join only return the rows where the matching values are in both tables, right? So if you have two tables, table A and table B, whenever you join them, let's say you join them by IDs, right? Those IDs have to match, right? Those two IDs have to match from table A and table B for them to join together, right? And that's what the inner join is going to do. It's going to match them based on the matching really. If they match, it's going to join them, right? And if you look under the graph right there or the example, you can see how we actually the syntax for the inner join, right? You're gonna select the columns you want from table A, inner join, or like I said, you can just put join table B, and then you're gonna use the on clause to join them on to really use whatever you want to join them on, right? Like I said, by IDs, it can really be anything as long as those two match. The inner join will join them together, right? And non-matching rows, let's say if you have an ID that doesn't match with another ID, or is not in the table at all, that it can't match, then it's going to be excluded from the table and it will not be selected in the inner join, right? When do you want to use it? So you want to use this when you only want data that exists in both tables, right? This, like I said, this is the most common day-to-day SQL joins, so you will be seeing this a lot. The next join is going to be the left join, right? So the left join, you also see the left join as left outer join. Same thing. Again, depending on the database you are using, it's going to appear differently. But left join, left outer join, same thing. So essentially, what left join is, it takes data from the left table and match only data from the right table that exists on the left table, right? So let's say you have a table, if you have a data from table A, or you have IDs in table A, right? So the left join will only take whatever it needs that match IDs from table B and match them together, right? If there's no match, then it return nulls, right? And I will be making a video in the future of like examples with data of how this is actually working, but just know that it takes the left table, right? And they match it with the right table, and the left join takes everything from the left table and match only things that exist in the left table together with the right table. Right? It is gonna sounds confusing at first, but the more you do it, the more you write SQL queries, this is gonna be very easy to understand. Right? So when do you so the syntax, right? Same thing with the inner join, with the join. Select the columns from the table and you type left join table B, right? And then use the on clause to match it whatever match together, right? So when do you want to use this? You want to use this when you want to keep every record from the left table, or you can classify it as your main table, regardless of whether a matching exists on the right table, right? And like I said, if it doesn't match, it's going to appear as new from the right table. So right join or right outer join, same thing as the left join, right? But this time it takes everything from the right table and match it with the left table, right? Let's say you have again table A and table B. You do a right join. So from table B, it's gonna take everything from table B and it's only gonna match everything that match together with table B, right? It's gonna take everything from table A, all the IDs, for example, from table A. It's gonna match it with table B, right? This little image right there clearly it kind of give you a good example, an idea of what's going on, right? And the syntax is really the same. The only thing you do is switch from left to right, right? And again, when do you want to use this? You want to use this when the right table is your primary data set and you don't want to lose any records from it, right? So think about when you're doing some analytics work, right? You have two tables and you want to join them together, right? You gotta find which table is your main table, which table is your primary table, where you're gonna keep all your data set, and you're gonna use whichever join necessary to combine those tables together. But in all essence, left join, right join, take everything from the left table, right, match it from the right, and take everything from the right table, match it with the left. Again, in the future, I will be making a video to show you how this works with data. All right, full auto join, right? This is another common join you will see, right? With the full auto joins, what it does is it combines the left table and the right table, right? It basically combine the left join and the right joins and return all rows from both tables, right? Rows with no match and the other tables are filled with news, right? So take table A and table B and imagine them all together. That's all it does, right? And rows that have no match together, they're gonna fill with news, and you will actually see the news when they don't match, right? Again, I will be creating a video in the future with real data of how this actually works, but just looking at this little image right there, hopefully it kind of explains it, and it's really simple. Again, the more you do it, the more you write SQL queries, the easier you understand this. And with the syntax, same thing. Like select from from table A, full auto join table B, and you join them on whatever like the IDs or whatever matching rows I'm gonna use to join them. And when do you want to use this? You want to use this when you want every record from both tables and need to identify unmatched rows in either direction, right? And so you're um trying to find rows, right, that doesn't match with each other, right, from these two tables. So you do the full auto joins. So it's gonna really take every row that match and match them together, and then the rows that doesn't match is gonna fill with news. So you can do a where clause where you said where so and so is news, and you can find rows that doesn't match with each other. All right, last but not least, the self join, right? This one is very tricky to understand at first, but for me it took me a minute to understand this. But essentially, this join, what it does is it join the table to itself, right? Self join. That's really what it does, right? It create another copy of the table you are using, right? So let's look at the syntax, for example. For the syntax, you select you because you select and you click from. So from the first table, let's say you have employee table. From the first employee tables, you give it an alias as E, and then you join the table again with itself, and you give it an alias as M, right? Employees as E, and then we're gonna use M as manager, right? And then on the on clause, you're gonna use the manager's ID and the employee's ID, right? Let's just say for example, right? And then you're gonna use E as employees and then M as managers. And really, when do you want to use this, right? You want to use this for hierarchy or parent-child data stores in a single table, right? For example, if you're trying to find a relationship between an employee and a manager, right? You can use a self join to find which, for example, like does employees has much more salaries than managers, and you can write a query with that, and you will use a self join. So anytime there's any hierarchy or any parent child data stored in a single table, right? You want to go more depth into that single table, then the best join to use will be the self join. Again, it might sound confusing right now, but later in the future, I will be creating a video to kind of again go more depth into this. I just want to create this video to kind of give you guys a summary of the most common joins that's out there, and hopefully the image that was up on the video kind of explain it, kind of give you guys an idea of what these joins are. So as a refresher, right, before I leave, so we talk about the 5 most common join in SQL. You will see there's going to be the inner join, right? It only match rows from both tables. The left joins, it match all the left rows, or it takes all the left rows from the left table and match the right rows, right? And if it's new, it's gonna be a no match. It's gonna mark as new if it's not a match. And then same thing with the right join, takes all the data from the right table and match it with the left table, and if it's not matched, it's gonna be marked as new. Full auto joins, all the rows from both tables match together. If there's no match, you will see it marked as new. And one thing I was also gonna mention with the inner join, the full outer join, you might think the full outer join is the same as the inner join, but with the inner join, it match rows from both tables, right? But if it doesn't match, it's not gonna populate in the table at all. With the full outer join, it does the same thing. It match from both tables, but if it doesn't match, it will mark nulls, right? So you will see the null or the rows that does not match. So you will see the null part. With the inner join, you won't see it at all, right? And then the self join, like I said, you join the table, you join together, right, with itself, and it's mainly used for hierarchy or if there's any like parent or child relationship within the data set, right? So again, in the future, I will be making a video. I know I keep mentioning it, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You guys have a little bit more knowledge on understanding SQL joins. Again, there are a lot more joins in SQL, right? But these are the most common ones you will see when you're writing SQL queries. So I appreciate you guys, appreciate your time for being here, and thank you, and take care.